Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. It's been a while, I say it every time, but yeah, as I said in my previous video, where I work, we've well into the Christmas period. I'm recording this on Christmas Eve, by the way, so I've been crazy busy, in and out of work all the time. But so yeah, there were one or two albums in December that I didn't review that I wanted to get around to, but whatever. But of course, it is nearly the end of the year, so it's time for the obligatory albums of the year that every outlet will be doing on YouTube right around now. So here I am adding to it. Mine's not going to be a typical top 10 best albums of the year kind of thing, because I didn't get around to listening to as much metal as I normally would. I've decided this time I'm going to get every album I reviewed this year, all 11 of them, and rank them from least favourite to favourite. For context, the first two reviews this year I put up on our Facebook page, so if you don't remember them, that's why they're up there. Head there if you want to check them out. And I reviewed pretty much only music I wanted to hear this year, so there's no really bad albums on here. It's all literally just a tier list of what I liked to what I liked even more, basically. So here I am adorning my Christmas jumper, Fallout, let's do it, heavy metal, best to even best albums of the year reviewed by Crushing Sounds. Just quick honourable mentions, because I didn't review them, but they would be in my top. I get both in my top 5 favourite albums of the year, but I never got around to reviewing would be Nile. Their new album was fucking insane. And of course, Cattle Decapitation. That Death Atlas was fucking insane. Had I reviewed that, it would probably be in my top 3. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, off we go properly. Least favourite, or least what album I liked this year the least would be Rammstein's self-titled. Chalk this up completely to personal preference. There's not necessarily anything fundamentally wrong. It's just I've never really been into Rammstein or industrial metal in general, so it sits comfortably at the end of the list, which is unfortunate because that implies it's not very good, but it is good. It was a really good comeback album, just not my kind of thing. Number 10, King 810, Suicide King. I am not on the hate train for this band at all. In fact, I think their first 2 albums are extremely intriguing, unique, and thought-provoking albums. I get that the whole gangster vibe puts a lot of people off, but given the context of what we're talking about here, I think it fits. I think it works. If you don't like it, then I get it. I do get it, but there's this overwhelming vitriolic vilification of this band I think is vastly unfair. But that being said, this third album was their weakest by quite a long way. That's why it sits here at number 10. It had the hallmarks that I like, but it didn't grab me. It didn't make my stomach clench like the other 2 albums did, because those albums are just much more emotionally driven than this one. I hope the band keep going and make more music, but here it is at number 10. Number 9, Amon Amarth, Berserker, a comfortable album by Amon Amarth, which I think everyone will agree is still a really, really good album. There were glimpses where the album could have done something different. They did little unique things, then quickly abandoned them, and that really annoyed me, because I liked those little glimpses of something different. So if they bring those more to the forefront the next time, they'll be way higher up on this list. But solid, good, epic. Amon Amarth, still one of the greatest live bands, greatest death metal bands ever. Excuse me. Yeah, Amon Amarth, number 9. Number 8, Slipknot, We Are Not Your Kind, an album I did not expect to like as much as I did. I didn't love it, but given that I've moved on from Slipknot, I thought I was just going to think this is kind of a meh album. It was on the first listen. I stress again, I needed to hear it a few times before I could get it, and the album is still way too long. But the band, they've still got it, which I don't think anyone expected, to be honest. They're still really tight, and I'm glad they're now pumping music back out, because they're an important band to the genre, whether you like them or not. So yeah, decent album from Slipknot. Number 7, Glory Hammer, Legends from Beyond the Galactic Terror Vortex. Unashamed fan of Glory Hammer here. Just ludicrously fun, entertaining, fantastic live. Me and my brother saw them live the other month, and yeah, they're just simply fantastic, really. Can't go wrong with Glory Hammer, just brilliant power metal fun, and this album was no exception. Continuing the trend of power metal, number 6, Blind Guardian, Twilight Orchestra, Legacy of the Dark Lands. A concept which everyone was apprehensive to see if it would work. I had faith that it would, and it absolutely did. A phenomenal narrative work. It has intensity problems in that it doesn't peak and dip across the whole album. It's just epic all the way through, which can get a bit tiring. But when you just sit and absorb the album, it's such a geniusly composed piece of musical narrative, really. So if you haven't heard that album yet, I recommend again hear it in one go. So put time aside, treat it like Lord of the Rings. Just shut everything else off and just listen to it. It's really solid. The top 5, I switched most of these round every which way you can imagine. I had a really hard time deciding my top 5, but here's what I finally ended up with. Number 5, Venom Prison, Samsara. The first review I ever put on YouTube. They are simply one of the best up and coming death metal bands on the planet right now. 2 albums in, both fantastic. This album was even better than their first album. I've seen them live twice. They are fantastic. They're going to be huge, these guys. They're finding success, thank God. So go support Venom Prison. They are fucking phenomenal, as is Samsara, this new album. Number 4, you're probably all expecting me to put this at number 1, but no, it's number 4, Tool, Fear Inoculum. Huge Tool fan, they're my favourite band of all time. I was waiting for this album like many other people for many, many years, and I think it did deliver. I've seen a lot of people who really don't like this album, which is fine, you're allowed to not like it, but loads of people saying, oh, it's easily their worst album, it was rubbish, it was boring, it's just cut. It depends what you will go into it expecting. If you're expecting a massive 13-year build-up to the most incredible piece of work ever put out by music, then you're good. Of course it's not going to live up to that, because they've not been working on this for 13 years. It's just taken them 13 years to get round to making another album. And it's Tool. It's intelligent, it's well thought out, it grabs your attention, even though a lot of the riffs are repeated. They're repeated with such a mesmerising attention to detail. Yeah, okay, maybe it's not my favourite Tool album, but one of the lesser Tool albums is still one of the greatest albums ever made, if you ask me. It's number 4 because it is not the easiest album to listen to. I can probably count the number of times I've heard it all the way through on one hand, really, just because there's a lot to dig out of it, really, and it can be quite taxing to listen to. Although I've heard Numa, the song, hundreds of times. I fucking love that song. Yeah, Tool, fantastic album. And if they're at number 4, you know I must really love the excuse me. Excuse me. You know I love the next 3 tracks if Tool are only at number 4. But number 3, the first thing I reviewed this year, Swallow the Sun, When a Shadow is Forced into the Light. A band I knew next to nothing going in. I heard Firelights in advance of the album coming out in passing, and I loved that track. And I saw the new albums coming out that week, so I checked it out day 1, reviewed it day 1, uploaded it day 1. It's a fantastic, it's a very eclectic album. It's not strictly one genre. There's a bit of doom, there's a bit of black, there's a bit of, blackened doom is what I called it. But it's so good. The vocals are phenomenal. The harsh, the guttural, and the clean vocals are all fantastic and really, really, really mesmerising. It's such a good album. I can't believe I haven't heard this band before. They were let down at Bloodstock with the bad weather and the lack of screens. It just didn't do their aesthetic justice, but hopefully I'll see them again one day. I'm obviously going to check out everything they've ever done, because they're a fantastic album. I'm really glad I discovered them. Number two and number 1, I could not decide. on the order of these two. It was virtually the flip of a coin to decide number 2 and number 1. But here we go. Number 2, Devin Townsend. I've just spoiled number 1. Devin Townsend, Empath, is the first Devin album I've properly dived into, and I feel like such a fool for not looking into his stuff earlier, because this album was something else. I'll tell you what, I couldn't stop listening to it. I heard it over and over again before I reviewed it, just because I wanted to keep hearing it because it's so good. There's so much going on. It's heavy as balls. It's ethereal, it's poetic, it's emotional, it's everything you could want. Even Chad Kroger's on the album and he's good. That's just how amazing Devon is as a songwriter. Cannot wait for Bloodstock next year where he's headlining. It's going to be fucking insane. But this is an incredible record, and a lot of Devon fans are calling it one of his best, so that should tell you all you need to know. Devin Townsend, Empath. I slightly said the name of number 1 a second ago, but whatever. You probably saw it coming. Number 1, Opeth, Fear Inoculum. Massive Opeth fan. They rival Tool for me as the best band of all time. I know some people have grown kind of tired of this prog rock era that they're in. I really, really like it. I know some people don't, but Fear Inoculum... Oh, for God's sake, I said Fear Inoculum, haven't I? See, Opeth and Tool, they're getting confused, you see. Opeth's album is called In Cauda Venenum, not Fear Inoculum. Why did I write Fear Inoculum down? Anyway, 2 great albums. What can I say? In Cauda Venenum is probably one of the best of Opeth's new era, basically. It's better than Sorceress. It's way better than Heritage. I think I prefer Pale Communion, just because that's one of my favourite albums ever, but this is a further extension of this new sound, and it's once again absolutely incredible, and one of the greatest albums that the band have done, if you ask me, which I know is a bold claim considering everything that's come before, but I could not get enough of this album. I've heard it over and over again. There's so many good tracks on it. The opening track is one of my favourite Opeth songs ever now. Lovelorn Crime is fantastic. Universal Truth is incredible. Check out that music video as well. It's so fucking good. All Things Must Pass is a big emotional closer. It's a perfect album to me. It's brilliant. Listen to the Swedish version, because that's the better version. Although both are good, so do either. So that's a very rambling and not well thought out list, but whatever, it's only a list, you get the gist of it. I apologise, it's only been 11 albums this year. That's just because end of my degree and I'm in a job now, so things have been busy. I hope once I've got in the rhythm of this job, I'll be able to churn out videos a lot smoother next year, but we'll wait and see on that front. I really want to make this more efficient, but we'll see what happens. So, yeah, I'm recording this on Christmas Eve, so depending on when this goes up, hope you all have or have had a very good Christmas, have a great new year, and go listen to some heavy metal, and I'll see you in 2020. See you then.